Something about it being hard coming up with something new to say every week. But you know what? I've never really been at a loss for a topic. It's weird. There's always something to say. Okay, but before we get into the actual sermon, my sister used to say there are three sides to every story, right? Your side, my side, and what really happened. Okay, so their side of the story is that Israel is starving Gaza. The Jewish side, the Jewish/Israel/Zionist side, is that the U.S. and Israel are doing everything they can to get food to Gaza. They're trying to do it as efficiently as possible so Hamas doesn't get a hold of the food. The IDF published pictures of Hamas terrorists in a terror tunnel eating this food. So they're trying to do the best they can to make sure they don't get it. And Gazans. Fortunately, the Gazans, they rush the trucks, and the IDF fires warning shots, which they probably shouldn't do. You know, it's kind of asking for trouble, but let's face it, this is a war. So that's the other side of the story. I'm just giving that to you to what it is. Okay, so let's talk about morality and ethics. Okay. In the beginning, Genesis, God said, let us make mankind, and we now say humankind, which I think is appropriate. Let us make humankind in our image. So what image? As we discussed today in our Miller class, God is not a physical being. God is beyond a spiritual being. God is just being with a capital B, right? So what is the image that God made us in? It has to be God's reflection, God's spiritual reflection. Okay. Now, we all know that God is divine and God is perfect and God is good. So if God is good and God created humankind in his image, why is man evil? What makes men do evil? Because after all, after a few generations with Noah in the flood, these people, they built the Tower of Babel ostensibly to rise and wage war against God. And God comes down to earth, and coming down to earth, of course, is just what would you call it? A metaphor, what is that word when you ascribe human qualities to something that's not human? I forget. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. And God comes down to earth and says, man is evil. I know this. How can God have created something, being good, that's evil? But wait, there's more. Abraham had two sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Isaac carried on Abraham's tradition, this beautiful, divine idea of perfect justice. Ishmael was a brute. He liked to hunt, kill things, rob, things like that. Isaac, Abraham and Sarah's son, had two sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau was a man of the field. In other words, he was a hunter. He liked to kill. He enjoyed it. He had a taste for blood. Jacob was a man of the tents. He dwelled in tents, which was an allusion to the idea that he was very studious and liked to study what we call Torah. How does that happen? How does it happen that good can create evil? Okay, let's think about it. Some of you who are into athletics or working out or running, you know this thing called a runner's high. And ultimately, what that runner's high is, it's an endorphin rush. The brain has opioid receptors, and we create our own narcotics. That's what we do. So when you are out running or working out or strenuously doing something, playing a game, you get that rush. You get that feeling of power, of good, and it feels good. Now, years ago, when I was in business, one of my clients told me how she took a seminar that involved how to organize and get things done. A lot of it involved making lists. And she said that when you make a list of tasks, and you complete a task, and you take your pen or pencil, when it's not Shabbat, of course, in our case, and you check it off, you get an endorphin rush. You get that narcotic well-being. So this feeling, this runner's high, is applicable to a lot of different circumstances. When you do something good for somebody, how do you feel? You feel good, right? So, what if we took from all that the conclusion that our bodies, our physical bodies, are hardwired to feel good when we do good, when we accomplish something? Okay. You've all heard the name Brian Kohlberger, right? The guy from Idaho that killed those students. And people are still trying to figure it out. He's a sociopath. He's a psychopath. I submit to you that he got an endorphin rush when he murdered those people. I submit to you that people like Putin, when he's trying to take control of Ukraine or something, gets that feeling of power. These people you become addicted to what you pursue. And this is right out of the Torah. Those who pursue good are led on the path. Those that pursue evil are shown the way. And this is why. Because your body is hardwired to reward you for whichever path you take. This explains a lot. You get these people that are protesting in the streets, these pro-Hamas. I call them pro-Hamas. They're flying those flags. You know, you want to call them pro-Palestinian. If they were pro-Palestinian, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I feel if they were pro-Palestinian, they would be protesting against Hamas, not for them. This is essentially what they're doing. But when they're out there and they're screaming in a mob, what do you see on their faces? This pleasure, this feeling of power. Their bodies are rewarding them for the craziness, for the mob rule that they're getting involved in, for that extension, for them extending themselves. So, is there an explanation, a physical explanation for morality? You can choose. You want to retrain somebody? You retrain them to feel good when they do good. Show them how good it feels when you help somebody, or when you give to charity, or where you perform a good mitzvah, or where you avoid. How do you think Joseph felt when he avoided the advances of Potiphar's wife? He probably felt pretty good. There's a special cantillation. It's called Shalshal. It occurs 4 times in the Torah. The 2 times are when Lot is being dragged back into his house by the angels, when the Sodomites are trying to get him and get past him and get to his visitors, because they were very xenophobic, and also when Joseph was avoiding Potiphar's wife. Now, a lot of people explain it as indecision, because the cantillation goes something like this, da, 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 and you could feel like the indecision, should I stay or should I go? But maybe it was the rushes they were feeling from avoiding a horrible a task that would have led to something bad. Think about it. So again, let's consider this. Let's consider the fact that God made us in his image so we could choose. Adam and Eve didn't have to eat the forbidden fruit. And by the way, if it was an apple, why do people still eat apples? Did you ever think about that? Isn't that crazy? Oh, forbidden fruit was they ate the apple. Then why are you eating it? Right? Duh, no apples, but I like apples. And it wasn't an apple. It was a forbidden fruit. That's what it was. Okay? So we have that ability to choose. And our bodies reward us when we make choices. So what we got to do is we have to hardwire ourselves. We have to train ourselves. We have to become addicted to doing the right thing. And there it is.